I still love that intro. Hi everyone.
I'm pretty
Good
sure that's the best
afternoon.
bit about the show.
Welcome to episode 4 of Rocket Wars by Market Rocket, crafting effective Amazon ad campaigns. I'm Mia, co-founder and business development director. And for those of you that don't know, Market Rocket is an Amazon SPN accredited agency and Amazon advertising partner. I'll start with introductions. I forgot where I was then. So first, I'll introduce Matthew, our CEO. Matt, say hello.
Hello.
Matt, give us
Hello, viewers.
Give us a fun fact about yourself and one of your greatest successes selling on Amazon.
A fun fact about myself is I have very grey hair and a very ginger beard. And my greatest achievement on Amazon, one of them would be I successfully managed to get a pair of wellies to ~1 in men's boots in the middle of summer.
Nice, well done. And then I would like
it did happen.
Also, yeah. So moving on to introduce Mark, our commercial manager. Mark, say hello.
Hello everyone.
Can I do Mark's fun fact?
No, this is dangerous.
I think that's up to Mark.
No, yeah, let's hear it. I need to know what it is now.
Well, for regular viewers, they'll already know, but Mark walked around without glasses for 10 years.
It's true story.
Mark, would you like to share with us a fun fact and a success on Amazon?
Okay, it's another fun fact about me and Matt, actually, is we were the county 4-ball champions for Cambridgeshire Golf Union in, I think, 2012, and I think that's where we peaked, so that was great. And then in terms of Amazon, was it an advertising achievement for Amazon?
It can be anything to do with selling on Amazon.
I think my favourite one would be how we've managed to grow. I think there's one large and one smaller client to where their advertising sales are more than double what their original total sales were, and their total sales are still increasing at the same rate. So the actual advertising sales percentage-wise hasn't gone up, but we're doing more ad sales than they ever did total sales before, which is good.
Great, well done. Thank you both. Would either of you like to give a shout out first before we start?
Well, I'd like to give a shout out to our esteemed producer, Mick.
Yeah, I was going to do just that.
And the hostess with the most stock.
On National Women's Day, of course.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Mark. I appreciate the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. Okay, so let's cover the rules and format. So we start each episode with a game of rock, paper, scissors to decide who goes first. Loser of the last round goes first on the next. No duplicate answers can be given. First come, first serve. Every episode before round 1, each player can nominate one round to get double points. However, if they lose the round, the opponent gets double points. Every episode, each player gets a duplicate listings card that they can use once in the game to make their opponent answer the question again. The opponent will have to give a completely different answer, and to keep both players in check, I have the ability to put either player into hazmat and deduct 1 point. Today we are having a bit of a change up of format, so just to remind everyone, the topic today is crafting effective Amazon ad campaigns, and we will have 5 standard format questions and then 5 scenario based questions. Are you both ready, prepared and excited to play?
Incredibly excited.
Ready and excited. Prepared, we'll see. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we'll start with.
Can we just reiterate the score in the series is probably worth mentioning?
To be honest, I can't remember.
No, neither can I
Who
actually.
is
No, I
winning?
don't
Matt,
know.
you're
I don't
winning,
know.
2-1.
aren't you?
Oh,
Okay,
well,
2-1.
2-1. Okay, so Mark, this is your opportunity to,
level it out.
yeah, exactly. Cool. So we
Quick
will
math.
start with rock, paper, scissors. I'll count 1, 2, 3, and then on go if you can both draw, please. Are we
What's
ready?
paper?
Thanks for pointing that out. I thought I was going to be able to dust over that. I appreciate that. Okay, are we ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Matt's always so
Matt, you're
delayed.
such a cheater.
No,
I love how he says no.
Go again. 1, 2, 3, go. Still cheater. Okay.
if I cheated, I lost.
Just about a
Well, yeah.
cheater.
Cool. Okay, so would you both like to randomly select a number to have as the question in which you receive double points?
Number 9.
Number 9 for Matt. And Mark?
Number 5. Split down the middle.
Mark. Great. Cool. So as I mentioned, the first 5 questions will be standard format and the following 5 questions will be scenario based. So question number 1, what are the key components of a successful Amazon ad campaign?
So my perspective on that is the most important things when trying to sort of establish a successful Amazon ad campaign is well thought out strategic targets. Am I allowed to reel off a list of things, or is it just you have to give you one? That's the question.
Well, you got to stick to one theme.
Okay, all right. Well thought out strategic targets is the one I would say is the most important when you're trying to set up a successful Amazon ad campaign.
Thank you, Mark.
You like
Matt?
these concise first round
Yeah,
answers.
I start off feeling like that, and then it just never plays out that way.
So, if you have ever wondered why you may not be performing as well as your competitors in your Amazon advertising campaigns, then I would suggest that one of the key components would be actually making sure that your listings are ready to be advertised. I acknowledge that having a good strategy is very important to managing your advertising campaigns and will obviously get you good results. But ultimately, if your listings are not retail ready, if they're not price competitive, if they're not FBA, if they don't have decent reviews, then no ad in the world is going to do well.
I am going to give that point to Matt because I agree.
This is when you then revert from your concise strategy.
Well, I feel like it's sometimes you get points just for length of answers. That's what I'm going for next time. Everyone will be snoozing.
We'll run out of film.
No, I'm going to give that to you, Matt,
No,
because the reason specifically is obviously there's the kind of key thing is there's absolutely no point putting a lot of money into advertising to drive traffic to a listing that's not going to convert. So retail readiness is key. Cool. Okay, so question number 2, how should you structure your campaigns for maximum impact?
So I think first and foremost you need to establish what the goals of your campaigns are and what your objective with your advertising is. For example, if you're particularly wanting to grow the awareness and your goal as an advertiser is to grow awareness of your brand, you might look at more upper funnel advertising, which would change the structure of your advertising and the way your budget's sort of allocated from that side of things. Whereas if your focus is more profit led, you might do more lower funnel advertising and sort of set things up so that you're focusing on conversion. So how I would set up my structure completely depends on what the goal of my advertising is. And then once I've decided that, it's about segmenting the products to make sure that you've got the most relevant products going to the most relevant targets, essentially.
Thank you, Mark.
So with Amazon advertising, structure equals power. And I would typically structure my campaigns around the budgets that I've got for a particular keyword and also the returns that I'm getting. So I would actually segment my keywords by performance and also the amount of budget that I'm going to put into them to allow me to funnel more spend into certain areas or reduce spend in certain areas depending on my actual performance.
Structure equals power.
There's a
Like that.
tagline there. I like that. Catchy.
I think on that
That
one,
was legitness.
Yeah, it was.
I'm going to give that one to Mark.
Let's keep it even. I like it.
And the reasoning?
I just like to answer better. Although, whilst I love structure equals power.
Yeah, yours has got
I thought that might get me over the line. I thought that might get me over the line.
Yeah.
There's plenty more opportunities. Okay, question 3. How do you choose which products to advertise?
So from my perspective,
Whoa,
I think again,
cowboy.
Sorry.
Whoa,
I'm cut in front of you. I'm just so used to not winning the question that I've just default gone first. You know. Sorry.
Wait a minute.
So, choosing the right products to have on. Start again. Choosing the right products to advertise on Amazon is a massive part of actually achieving success. And I would typically focus, if I was going to have to pick an answer, would be to focus on where high profitability is, because you're going to have more budget to spend. I've seen a lot of campaigns over the years where people trying to push low profitability products, and it can become a bit of a thankless task. And actually, your time and effort and energy and spend is better put into those profitable products. And then maybe you could use things like A+ to link back, or parent-child relationships to try and push the lower margin products.
Thank you, Matt.
So, from my side of things, I think what's key is it depends on if it's a new client or an existing client. But in this example, I'm imagining that we've already got some sales history, even if it's just organic sales history. I'd look at the conversion data on the organic traffic and also the average order value to try and establish where there's opportunities. Maybe they're not a natural bestseller, but it's because they haven't had enough traffic. If there's something that I can do from an advertising perspective to then push the traffic and knowing that it will convert on that. So I would have a look at those reports, try and find out where our biggest opportunities are, because you could have a really high profit product, but if it doesn't convert very often on any of the advertising, that margin quickly disappears. So even with a mid-margin product, if you convert all the time when you drive traffic there, I would rather focus on those products, because I know that I'm going to get more success from driving traffic there.
Ooh, that's difficult. I suppose it depends on the client's goal, really, doesn't it? But I'm going to give that to Mark, because that's a very valid point, in that profitability doesn't determine whether the listing is actually going to convert to sales. So you get that one, Mark.
He wants to say it.
Well,
yeah.
You can go to Hazmat if you would like to question me.
I don't. Although I did win last week with going to Hazmat as well. That's how dominant the victory was.
That's true. That wasn't a highlight for me. All right.
Cool. Question number 4. What are common pitfalls in campaign creation, and how can you avoid them?
A couple of answers for this one. Avoid falling into the pitfalls and traps of Amazon advertising by using negative keywords. And I'm going to go specifically and say use good adjectives for negative. So if you're trying to sell a cheap product, you want to use expensive as a negative. If you're trying to sell an expensive product, then you would negative cheap. And that can be a very low overhead way of actually administering your campaigns and actually getting better results and better strategies.
Interesting. Okay, thank you, Matt. Mark?
So the question was, what common pitfalls in campaign creation and how can you avoid them? Right. So I think for me, one of the most common issues that I find is people spread themselves too thin too soon with their campaign creation, and they end up having really, really low budgets up front. What that means is you never really get a chance to get the data that you need, and they're optimizing on maybe a very small, like for example, if you have a very low budget, you might have run out of budget within the first few hours of a day. That click doesn't necessarily relate to how it will perform in the long term. So I would say that making sure you've got enough budget on each of your campaigns and you give it a fair chance to gather the data before you then optimize or react to the data, or you can end up chasing your tail around trying to optimize every day on data which isn't reliable.
Thank you. Because the series is in regards to setting up your ad campaigns, I am going to give that point to Mark, because I think that implementing decent budgets is important upfront, and keeping a condensed number of campaigns to then use the data to develop out additional campaigns is imperative to kind of a strategy for someone setting up on, say, day one Amazon advertising. So for that reason, I am going to give that point to Mark. Any questioning coming there, Matt? Or?
I was hoping that round of applause was coming. That's what I was waiting for, Nick. Thank you.
No, I would just argue that a lot of people set campaigns up without thinking about what they're not trying to target, and therefore can incur a lot of wasted spend in the early days by not giving it that extra bit of thought. But I will be a gentleman and concede.
I agree.
I think number of campaigns is very fair and a very good answer to that.
Cool, thank you. Question number 5. So the final of the standard format questions. What are best practices for managing and organising multiple campaigns? Mark, this, I believe, is your double points question.
Yes.
Yeah, so it is. I probably shouldn't have picked this one, I must admit.
So, my biggest number one tip to anyone looking to manage campaigns and manage structure is 100% to give thought and consideration into a naming structure that works across all different types of campaigns, includes the type of campaign, includes the target, includes the product, includes potentially the bid levels and the budget, because it can be an absolute nightmare trying to re-understand what you've created when things start to go right or start to go wrong. So actually having that good naming structure in place is, I think, the number one most important thing for campaign management.
Thank you, Matt. Mark?
Yeah. So obviously getting away part like I can't use the same answer, but from my side, I think that
Bet you'll have a go.
I will. Oh no, I won't. Obviously, a good naming convention is completely imperative, so I agree with that. But I think there's other tools that you can use when you've got lots of campaigns to help you manage them. Amazon provides you with some, such as ad groups to campaign level to portfolio level, and these different levels inside your Amazon Ads console help you to control where you're spending, what you're spending, and then analyze the performance of it quite at a sort of a very detailed level. So I think that is using the levers that Amazon give you and the different levels of advertising. You can be very specific and drill down into what the issues are, how to fix them, and then on top of that, if you have the ability, if you at a stage in your Amazon journey where you're managing lots of campaigns, lots of budget, using things like third-party softwares for bid management and setting up strategies through that, and understanding what's out there is also imperative to managing multiple campaigns across multiple strategies.
Thank you, Mark. I think, again, going back to the series theme of setting up, I am going to have to give that one to Matt.
Again, we have this tone of I am going to have to. Mark didn't get that. Congratulations, Mark. You won that point.
I don't think I said congratulations.
Does whinging come under hazmat? It must be close.
Hurts
Yeah,
my feelings.
you don't have feelings.
Thanks.
Savage.
Scenario questions. So the next 5 questions are scenario based. Yeah, that's essentially it. So first question of the scenario questions is your product experiences peak sales during Q4 with a budget increase of £2,000 for the quarter. What adjustments would you make to your existing ad campaigns to maximize visibility and sales during this period?
Cool. So obviously it depends on what £2,000 is compared to the rest of your budget. For example, if you've got a budget that is normally £500 and you're increasing it per month, and you're increasing it by £2,000, then you're essentially doubling your budget for the quarter. Whereas if you're a big brand where £2,000 isn't even close to your daily spend, then that slightly alters how I might answer this. But assuming that you've got a decent sized budget, what can you do with £2,000 to maximise your visibility and sales from your existing campaigns? I think I would really lean into top of search and try and see if there's opportunities where I can really increase my top of search on some of my top performing campaigns to ensure that I'm always appearing in that top 4 slots on Amazon, because we know they're the most likely to convert, they get the most visibility. And then I would address my budgets off the back of that to make sure I'm not running out of budget from these adaptations I've made. So I know that would give me the best chance of getting seen and the best chance of getting conversions. And then I've addressed my budgets on the existing campaigns with the £2,000 extra that I'm given.
Good answer. Thank you, Mark. Now,
To take an additional budget for a seasonal period and try and turn it into a gold mine, I would actually utilizing existing campaigns only. I would actually look at that budget in a different way and actually start to look at deals and vouchers and promotions, which are going to have a massive impact on both my click-through rate and also hopefully my conversion rate. So whilst you could say increase bids, top of search, all of that stuff will work as well. But actually, I think let's think outside the box and actually use that budget in a different way to get the most out of the campaigns that I've already got set up and not corrupt the data and the settings for post seasonality.
that was a good answer. I think obviously keep retaining standard 365 day of the year data is important. I don't want to have to sort of make a lot of amendments to a campaign that would normally be running differently successfully. So, and obviously implementing promotional activity will support conversion. So I'm going to give you that one I'm going to give you that one, Matt, for that question.
That's a good answer.
But you are 100% right in regards to top of search, Mark. Cool. Okay. What's our initial thoughts on the scenario-based questions?
I like them. Keep them coming.
Cool. Good.
That was a good answer from Matt. Liked it.
Yeah. So, question 2. Sales for one of your previously popular products has plateaued. With a modest budget of £500, which advertising strategies would you employ to revive interest and increase sales for this product?
Yeah, so if your product's plateaued, I think the most important, like you said, £500, probably quite a relatively modest amount for one of your main hero products. But I think what's more important here is to establish why it's happened. So first and foremost, I'll be looking at the data to see, is it a traffic issue? So has, for example, through all my optimizations, have I eventually got to the stage where I've started to stifle the amount of people that are visiting the listing, and that's having an impact on the sales because conversions remain steady, but traffic just isn't there. At that stage, I know that I can probably implement what I just mentioned before, try and drive traffic through high click-through campaigns, to high top of search, do those kind of campaigns to make sure that I'm getting the traffic I need to the listing. That would be my first port of call for that. If it's a conversion issue, which is obviously a very different problem, I would have a look at, before I spend any of that money, I'd be having a look at the targets that I've got. are actually the targets outdated? Was there stuff that slipped into there through keyword harvesting maybe that isn't relevant to this particular season? Or are we wasting money anywhere that we shouldn't be? And could we be using this money better? And then once we've established that, I would put it back into, well, it would go through the cycle. I'm saying once I'm happy with my targets, it would be about driving traffic again. So go back to the original sort of point for the £500.
Thank you, Mark. Matt?
So to try and keep it to one answer, if you've got a product that is plateauing, then everything we do on Amazon is either traffic or conversion. And we need to check those metrics. But ultimately, the only other thing that your product has to do is it has to be able to compete against its competitors. Otherwise, you don't have a business, you don't have a product, you're not going to make sales. So what I would do with a plateauing product is actually take it and find my direct competitors for price, for reviews, for type of product, and direct that budget into competing with those products, because ultimately, if my product's going to survive and I'm going to have a future, I need it to be able to win those second clicks on those detail pages, and that will give me the confidence that it's going to be able to do it or not, and I might need to put my effort and energy and resources into a different product moving forward.
Good answer, both of you. Let me think. I'm going to have to go with Matt on this one.
Feeling all too familiar.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Plenty to play for.
5 points still. 5 points still on offer. This is the high jinx that we find ourselves in.
I know.
Okay, so we're on technically question 7, but it's question 3 of the scenario questions. So the question is, you're competing against a market leader with a much larger advertising budget. With £1,000 dedicated to challenging their dominance, what innovation and strategies could you implement to capture market share?
So I think what's important to realise here, when you're dealing with this kind of situation, is you can't necessarily go head to head with them on some of their. So you can't necessarily target them, because people that visit their listings or that are already looking for them are not likely to convert. You're going to accrue a lot of wasted spend, and if you've only got £1,000, you can't afford to waste any of it. So the first thing I would do is not go head to head with them on maybe some of their absolute core keywords, their branded keywords. I would even go as far as to say I would negative target in some instances if their branded terms, so that I'm not necessarily competing with them on their own branded search terms. But that said, what I would do is I'd do extensive keyword research into what does work for their product, and try and find some of the longer tail keywords which I know are relevant to my product and my USP. And then I would use those as my main targets and areas of weakness. And then I would use the full suite of Amazon advertising to try and go after those longer tail keywords and focus on my USPs. So where I feel that I can win, essentially. I just think it's really important that you don't go head to head on their branded terms from my perspective, because it's just, you're going to have so much wasted spend that you're not in a position to do that yet.
Thank you, Mark. Matt?
So when I'm up against a bigger brand with a bigger budget and I'm trying to compete, classic David and Goliath tactic is to start to think creatively and actually start to use the ad copy within sponsored brands, specifically if you are going to go after branded search terms, and actually focus on weaknesses of their product or maybe a pun of their name, and actually showcase a strength of yours. So if there's a particular ingredient that's not actually very good for you, you would call that out in a certain way and actually highlight the benefits of your product versus there. So although you might not win the typical fight when it's fair, by actually highlighting those USPs, there's a very strong chance that you may actually convert a consumer and also get repeat sales off the back of that. So I would very much think outside the box and get creative with creative.
That's a feisty answer, Matt. I think based on the fact that the budget was only £1,000, going after someone else's branded search terms when we know they have a larger budget, I would have to go with Mark's answer, but I like the creative strategy, Matthew.
Going to be a prove it again, I'm afraid, Mark.
Yeah, so my I guess with the replay, I love it. So my next answer to this was going to be, it's probably not dissimilar to what you were going to say, unfortunately, which was that I would try and employ different types of campaigns and try and again flag my USP in the creative, in the ad copy, saying the category leader has X, we have X, or maybe even go as far to sort of, yeah, I don't know. It's too similar to your answer. I don't want to go.
Come
I
on.
think it'd be too. No, I'll give it. That's too similar to your answer. That was my next one.
So that means Matt gets the point.
Yeah, that was my next answer.
Points.
To be fair.
2
Why
points.
is it double?
No, it's not
It's
double.
8 and 9.
No.
No,
Oh, sorry. I thought you picked 8 and 9. That was last week. Sorry.
No.
No.
No. 1 point. Cool. Next question. Matt, this is your double points question. Your brand has a
feeling
strong good. Your brand has a strong sustainability ethos and you want to highlight this in your Amazon presence. How can you craft your ad campaigns to resonate with environmentally conscious consumers?
I think when you've got a sustainable sort of sustainability ethos, what's really important is that it comes out really clearly in absolutely every part of your creative. So that goes to your listings, that goes to the title of your product, that goes for every single facet of your product. You have to have the right. Hopefully, you've got the right brand colors and everything, and the creative that you can use to flag that on your listing. And then I think that needs to be used in your advertising too. So that needs to be a big focus. All the creative needs to be around tying in with your listing on that side of things. So using again, flagging anything that makes your product uniquely sustainable would be something I would do in the ad copy. Using the imagery to highlight anything that you do that is sustainable that maybe other people aren't doing. And then again, using highly visual campaigns, so things like video, using images, and then editing the copy at the top to try and really flag that as something, because I think it's just really important that it jumps out at people from the moment they see your product and the moment they see your ad. I don't think sponsored products is necessarily going to be the avenue I'd go down, because I don't think, other than your title, there's not much that you can do to yell about the sustainability of your product. Whereas using the other types of ad campaigns, I think you can really hammer that home and highlight that as a bit of a USP for your product. And then the other thing that I would mention is just maybe if you've got any awards for sort of sustainability, or if you've got anything that you can highlight as something that makes you again a bit unique, I would try and, if possible, include that in the ad copy. You'd obviously have to substantiate it, but really flagging and yelling about anything that you've got that puts you ahead of the crowd in this point.
Thank you, Mark. Matt?
So if you've got an eco-friendly brand and you want to make a statement on Amazon, and obviously we're talking about Amazon advertising, then the two things that I would most certainly do is I would make sure that I'm enrolled with Amazon's climate-friendly pledge, which gets you the nice green banner under your products on the search page, which is obviously going to help you stand out. And I would put a lot of effort and time and research into the keywords that you're going to appear for, because you're going to get that recognition by being presented. And when consumers are searching for the type of products that they're actually looking for, you can update your copy, but actually getting statements into copy and also into the listings isn't necessarily going to be visible to the consumer when they're first searching for the product. So my effort and time and resource would go into getting that climate friendly badge and making sure that I'm working on the best targets possible to get that recognition with the consumer when they're searching for their preferred term.
I am going to give it to you, Matt. Climate friendly.
Is this my replay moment? I feel like it has to be, doesn't it? I haven't really got a
you
choice.
can do it. Yeah, you can do it.
I'm snookered if not, so this is my replay.
Oh, that's difficult.
I
Second
have a
time
type.
round.
Can you clarify your answer in a short statement, Mark?
It wasn't about my answer. It's yours that you need to.
Well, it is, because I don't want to repeat it.
Okay, not focusing on sponsored products, but using sponsored brands and display to use creative, and focusing on ad copy, which highlights ad copy and creative, which highlights your uniqueness in that category, and any awards or anything else that you can point to, basically.
Oh, give me a minute.
That felt like you were just buying time, to be honest. Is
It's
there like a
hard,
time
that's
limit on there?
hard.
This feels like a time limit. Like, is there? Can we get a clock, Nick? I don't know if there's a clock.
Oh, come on, give me a minute. Give me a second. Give me a second.
A
I can
few
get a
moments later.
I would doctor my hero images as far as physically possible to ensure that my awards and claims were part of the product packaging, to make sure that my ads were having the maximum relevant impact.
I thought you were going to say put badges on a main image then, and you can't do that.
No.
Just talking about packaging strictly.
No. I would just work on my packaging, because that hero image is absolutely critical to everything, as we all know, because a lot of what Mark's talked about you wouldn't even see through the first ad. So
That's not true.
Feisty.
it is.
Let me think about this. Yeah, I guess you would want to shout about that
It's about
on
getting
the
your product retail
packaging.
ready.
Oh,
Eco
okay,
ready,
yeah.
not retail ready. Eco
Yeah.
ready
Well, that's a
packaging.
stretch.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go
I'm
with that,
dubious
Matt.
on that
I'll
one.
give you that. So that's double points to you, Matt. Which
game.
unfortunately, Mark, I think, although we have one question remaining, I think we know what that means, but we'll announce that at the end anyway. So final question, which is a scenario question. You're planning to introduce your product to Amazon's international marketplaces. With an initial advertising budget of £5,000, how would you approach campaign creation and budget allocation to ensure a successful entry into these markets?
Okay, so if I've got a £5,000 budget, I think the first thing I'd probably do is just split that out in sort of into two different phases. So the first, I'd take maybe 20% of my budget, and I'd assign that as maybe my sort of research budget and data gathering budget, and then I'd save the next £4,000 for when I was fully confident in everything that I'd set up and developed. So that first £1,000, I would probably straight away be looking to set up an automatic campaign that's running whilst I'm doing all my other research into what needs to go into a complete structure. So set up an automatic campaign so it starts gathering data, and that we're getting these top keywords straight away. And then I would be, in that meantime, whilst that, so we've not wasted any time, I'd be doing my research into keywords, competitive products, and targets for myself. And making sure that I profile my consumer to see that there's no different motivations in that particular region than there is in my current one. And then once I've established these, that's when I would start introducing manual keyword campaigns, product targeting campaigns, and harvesting the data that I've had from my auto into these campaigns. I'd also probably set up a sponsored display product category target campaign, because I think it's good to get visibility in your category early on. And then after that initial setup, I'd be ramping those up for a few weeks, and then I would be looking to expand into sort of the full spend, increase my budgets to a level where I'm really happy that I can spend this £4,000. But the goal is to do as much of that upfront research without necessarily stifling my initial progress, and then having a good amount of budget so that I've not wasted any budget for once I'm confident in my targets and the campaigns I've set up.
Thank you, Mark. Matt, what's your answer?
when launching into a new territory, which can typically be unknown, what I would do is I would start to look at my budget across the various different subcategories that I'm going to be focusing on and territories, and actually starting to look where is going to actually give me the biggest reward. So if we have a category size of €1 million a month in Germany as an example for a particular subcategory, and then another subcategory in Spain for one of my other products is only €100,000, then I'm going to want to work on my budget and split it in the biggest areas possible to try and get as much traction as physically possible. That being said, we don't want to completely ignore those smaller subcategories, and they are important, and you could argue you get results quicker, but long-term success for subcategories is probably where I'm going to find the most reward. So I would split my budget based on the opportunity size.
Both good answers. I'm going to go with Matt on that one. I'm afraid, Mark, you are today's loser.
Does
Quite
feel that way.
savagely.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's fair.
That was a bit harsh.
This is my last episode, just for everyone's
I'm
context.
sorry,
It's
Mark.
been lovely
No, it
meeting you.
isn't.
No, it's not.
No, it
it's
isn't.
not.
Don't be a sore
No,
loser.
it's not.
You've done very well.
You can't. 8 is quite close.
It's like the Arsenal football game.
Well done, Matt. Congratulations. You are today's Rocket Wars winner.
Win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the field,
I'd really like to come in on the Phoenix, like on the boss.
Nice. Well done. Cool. Do you guys have any closing words?
Yeah, can I give Mark a virtual hug?
I'll take it. Thank you very much. This is not the way I want to start my Friday, you know? Lovely.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Please tune in next Friday at 2:00 for the next episode of Rocket Wars, titled to be announced. So please watch out on our socials. And until then, stay in stock.